Chrissy, what does Apple think the prospects are for health and growth in the wearables category?
So I can't stress this enough, Kelly. Apple is just so serious about healthcare. And one big signal of that is that the company has hired dozens of doctors in the past few years. I originally heard that from sources familiar, but I've also just done some research, LinkedIn and so on, to compile this list of which physicians are now working for the company. And many of them are keeping that secret. Apple's just a secretive company, as we all know. But I think that signals a few things. The first is that, healthcare is going to be an area that they see a lot of potential growth. I think the electrocardiogram that we mentioned is just the beginning. I definitely see applications for the watch in things like blood pressure and in blood glucose, and I think that would, again, track that older audience. The other thing is that Apple knows that its greatest potential critics are doctors, and winning them over to get them to recommend these devices to patients is just absolutely key. So I think having some of those folks on board is just a really smart strategy for them.
Chrissy, one interesting point as we've been discussing this, watching Apple's growth here is there are some who will say it's kind of rich that Apple is so focused on physical health, while it arguably could be behind the mental health epidemic this country is dealing with because of our addiction to these devices. Do you think they're also trying to reposition themselves to get ahead of that criticism, which is definitely going to just grow louder and louder?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Kelly, but when I use my watch, I'm not wearing one today, but when I do wear one, I end up looking a little bit less at my phone. So I think that's how Apple would start to position itself. And then, the company could also start to make some strides in actually incorporating some more mental health style features. They have already a lot of developers around meditation and breathing, taking a rest. And I get notifications sometimes when I'm a little bit stressed out, which
How
is
often
always
do you get them,
helpful.
Chrissy?
Yeah.
Well, I am a journalist,
right now.
So yeah, probably. But I could see them doing more in that space. I mean, who knows? Mental health could be a big area of growth.
You found at least 20 doctors associated with LinkedIn accounts who say that they work for Apple. There are probably 50 who work at Apple. Is there any sense as to what kinds of doctors they are in order to sort of figure out what areas Apple's really interested in?
Well, as you might expect, it's a lot of primary care physicians, a lot of cardiologists, which is pretty obvious given that they've been doing a lot in the area of heart health. And then you see people like orthopedic surgeons, and that makes sense given their recent partnership with Zimmer Biomet, a medical device maker, where they want to see whether the Apple Watch could be helpful in tracking how people respond to knee and hip replacement surgeries and whether they are up and walking after those procedures. But the interesting thing that I noted was that these physicians weren't a single group off to the side doing advisory work. Yeah. They were involved in the product development, the business development decisions. They were working closely with engineers. So it felt to me like this wasn't just for show, that Apple was really using, got Amazon on the mind, Apple was really using these doctors to do real work for them.